Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is the 11th August 2016. The first article is related to the present situation in Nepal. Now, to understand this, let us take a brief history of Nepal politics. You know that the Jan Andolan 1 and 2, they have destabilized the monarchy, and finally a Nepal Republic was established. So in 2005-2006, there is a peace deal between the Maoists and the Nepali leaders, political leaders. Finally, it led to the Maoists entering into the mainstream politics. And after this, in 2008, the first Constitution Assembly elections were held, and Communist Party of Nepal Maoists, headed by Mr. Prachanda, it has got the highest number of the seats. And after that, Prachanda, he has played the China card against India, and also he sacked the army chief, that is Mr. Katiyal. So because of this, finally Prachanda has to withdraw from his prime minister position, and the musical chairs have happened. And the 2013 elections, the Communist Party of Nepal Maoists, it has got the third place after the Nepali Congress and Communist Party of Nepal United Marxist-Leninist. Now, the CPN-UML leader, Mr. K.P. Sharma Oli, he became the Prime Minister. And he is supported by the Communist Party of Nepal Maoist Prachanda. So, now, the Prachanda withdrew his support to the K.P. Sharma Oli government, and a no confidence motion was passed in the parliament. And with the support of the Nepali Congress, Prachanda has become the Prime Minister, and he will be sitting in that chair for the 9 months. By the time the national and provincial elections comes out, as per the new constitution, Nepali Congress chief, that is Sher Bahadur Deva, he will become the Prime Minister. This is what is the present agreement. So in this context, there are serious issues before the Prachanda. So in his first term, because of his China card, the relations with India got spoiled. Then in the K.P. Sharma Oli government also has strongly played the China card. So in this context, revival of the relations with India shall be the primary objective of the new Prime Minister. And second, the Madhesis and Janajatis, they have undertook the agitation, and it is continuing even today. So making the constitution federal and inclusive is the second task before him. Third is especially the Kathmandu region of the Nepal, it got worst affected by the earthquake. So the international community has pledged $4.4 billion of aid to Nepal, but due to lack of proper institutional mechanism and partisan politics played by the K.P. Sharma Oli government, it did not move forward. So providing for this post-quake reconstruction, that is another task which is before the Mr. Prachanda. And the third thing is when Jan Andolan movement was on its peaks, many of the Maoist cadres, they are involved with violence. So the Prachanda is demanding for the removal of the cases on these Maoist cadres. So now, as he is the Prime Minister, he needs to take forward that particular agenda to maintain the morale of his cadre. These are the things which the Prachanda is supposed to do towards gaining the confidence of the masses. Now coming to the abortion rights. Now this year a question can be expected on this area, especially in relation to the healthcare issues or women-related problems. Now, does women has the right to go for abortion? So in this case, so let us see certain positive arguments in support of the women's rights for abortion. The first one is right to bodily integrity. So it means a human body is his or her right, and woman is not an exception. So she owns her body and she has total control over her reproductive choices. So it means that there shall not be any barriers for safe abortions. The second thing is, if you see the empirical evidence, wherever the access to the safe abortion practices exists, there the relative deaths of the mothers from unsafe abortions is very less. It means if abortions are legally allowed, the deaths due to that are very minimal. And the second thing is, abortion or else pregnancy can come due to failed safe-sex practices or due to certain sexual violence against the woman. So in this case, abortion will be the last choice to the woman. And third is, many of the people who oppose the abortion, they argue in support of the rights of the children. If you take the UN human rights or international human rights law, it clearly states that the life of the child, it comes into existence once he is born. So it means a fetus who is unborn, he do not enjoy any of the human rights. So the fetus is not an independent entity and it depends upon the welfare of the woman. So in these these are the positive arguments towards the abortion. And finally, a question of ethics. So what it has been criticized is, many of the women are going to the abortion if they come to know that their fetus is mentally or physically disabled. So it is bringing in a kind of disabled not to have the right to live. So now, here again in India, the state and society do not take any responsibility to help and finance the families which have the disabled children. So entire burden falls on that particular family. So in these circumstances, so it is also shall be the responsibility and the right of the family to decide what to do with their pregnancy. But on the other side, if abortion has been taken up as a supporter or to take up female feticide, it has to be legally punished. So from these dimensions, I can argue that abortion is a right of the woman. Now coming to salaries of the MPs. Now in India, MP salaries can be raised by the MPs through a simple majority. They can be revised by simple majority. So now on what basis salaries have to be designed? Now the first principle is rationality and objectivity. So there has to be some rational criteria, reason towards raising the salaries. If you take in Singapore, so what they do is, the highest 1,000 salaried employees, out of them at least 60% is the salary of their members of parliament. And the second thing is, there shall not be any conflict of interest. It means that if you take in UK, an independent autonomous body exists to revise the salaries of the MPs. So MPs revising their own salaries is a conflict of interest. So the UK kind of independent body, which is also exists in South Africa, can be created. Now coming to comparative analysis, there are many other countries, US, UK, South Africa, how they are paying for their MPs, what the amenities are given to their MPs, that has to be understood. India also have to be revised. But the revision has to be on a PPP basis, purchasing power parity basis, and also relative developmental status. Finally, the public trust. So, generally the public trust in the politics in India is decreasing. So, educating the public about the need to raise the salaries of the MPs so that the legislative work can become qualitative is also very much important. Now, biased Citizenship Bill, what is this? Now, the government, what it says under this Citizenship Amendment Bill 2016, it says that any person from Pakistan, Bangladesh or Afghanistan belonging to a minority community, if you do not have a valid document such as passport, if he comes and lives in India for 6 years, yes, he can apply for the Indian citizenship. It means government is giving only the minorities of these three countries a choice to live in India, even though he do not possess any valid document. Now here there is a thing, only minorities are being provided, but in all these three countries, the Islam is the major faith. So it means the persons belonging to the majority religion are not being invited. So the argument here is a specific religion is being excluded from the bill. And the second is, if you open up our borders, for example, if you take In Bangladesh, in Assam, and also in Tripura, you have more is Muslims and Hindus as the immigrants. Both of them are economic immigrants. So in this context, how can we differentiate them based on their religion? So the major problem with this bill is it is not inviting the people on the basis of retribution. So it is not talking about minorities who have undergone religious retribution. It is just talking about minorities. They can enter from these three countries into India. That is what is the objection raised. Coming to the research in India, over years the research, as the number of research papers have significantly increased in India. But the first concern is the quality. The second concern is the skewed nature of this particular importance. The quality, what I mean is this. Most of the research papers produced in India, they are qualitatively very poor and they are more biased towards the physical sciences and the engineering courses. The medicine and also the humanity courses, they do not get the proper space in the Indian research. Now coming to healthcare. Remember a few important points related to the healthcare over here. So in India, we are trying to achieve the universal healthcare through private insurance system. So if we carefully observe, 3/4 of the people, they do not carry any insurance in India. The commercial insurance or private insurance, it is very narrowly spread and is available only for the few services. Few people only for the few services. And also it is available only to the people who are affordable for the premium. Now the annual growth rate of the healthcare costs, they are disproportionately high. It means that as most of the diseases are not covered and the cost of the healthcare is increasing, then a citizen can get impacted by the out-of-pocket expenditure to a higher proportion in India. According to WHO estimates, around 62+% of the spending on healthcare is out-of-pocket expenditure in this country. So again, the insurance coverage exclusions and many people lack of awareness about the insurance. This is impeding the universal healthcare delivery in the country. Now coming to Afghanistan. So Mr. General Nicholson, who is the commander of the NATO forces in Afghanistan, he has welcomed the India's security assistance to Afghanistan. What India is providing for? Recently, India is given 4 Mi-25 helicopters, and then it is also training the Afghan security forces. But India's policy is that it shall not supply any lethal military weapons to the Afghanistan. But however, breaking this rule, India has supplied 4 Mi-25 helicopters, which is a welcome step according to him. Now coming to Bola Singh, I have selected this article for 3 important quotations. Mr. Gunnar Myrdal, he wrote a book called as Asian Drama. In this, what he clearly says is, India is a change-resistant society. And the second thing is, the Western interests are so strong in India, they are more dangerous than an atomic bomb. Added to that, a general observation is, in India, the retired bureaucrats, they continue to hold the office in one or the other form. So because as the higher positions are being filled through these political appointees, the young bureaucrats, they do not have much loyalty or motivation to work for the organizations. So these are the articles for today. Thank you very much. All the best.